Okay, here we go. Check it out. 5, 4, 2. Let me close the dishwasher. What's up, everybody? My name is Jordan, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make my gumbo. Now, I've made this a couple times in the past, and so I think you just see like photos of it, but I feel like right now would be a good time to like show you like how I do it. So let's get started. We'll show you the ingredients first. So what you're gonna need: flour, kind of vegetable oil. It's gonna be used to make a roux. Then you need a whole array of seasoning. You need salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, creole seasoning. This stuff works on everything. Cayenne pepper, Cajun seasoning, and I like to add a little bit of this accent too, and bay leaves to top it all off. And then on top of that, bouillon. Now usually you need chicken stock for this. Usually about 2 containers of it, but I don't have that. So what we're gonna be using is this bouillon. You take a teaspoon of the bouillon and mix it with 8 ounces of hot water. You got yourself 8 ounces of chicken stock. So we're gonna be using that. And we're moving on to the fresh ingredients. We have the holy trinity of any type of Cajun food: celery, bell peppers, and our yellow onion. The way that I like to make gumbo, I think that these types of peppers are a little bit sweeter, lend itself a little bit better to the gumbo, and green onions. These green onions are gonna go both in the gumbo and on top of the gumbo. Onto the meat, super simple. Just we have chicken thighs and Louisiana hot sausages. Usually the gumbos are made with chicken breasts, but I like chicken thighs. They're a little bit more, they're a little bit meatier, a little bit juicier. I think they add a lot more flavor and depth to the gumbo than chicken breasts do. I made it with both. I prefer the chicken thigh method. And the last thing you're going to need is all of your cookware. Big pot, gonna be cooking the entire gumbo in here. You like to use a wok when cooking any type of meat. Conducts the heat a little bit better, and I just like the way that you can just like cook a ton of stuff in here at one time. And then finally, you need some sort of saucepan for your roux, and you don't really need this type of pot, this sauce pot, but I'm gonna be using it for the chicken stock. And here we go, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start going is our roux. The roux is going to take the longest to cook. Use a cup of oil and a cup of flour. Stick both of those together, and then you just cook it down, simmer it down until it's about the color of like a Hershey's chocolate bar. And then on top of that, we're also going to be making our chicken stock. So let's go ahead and get started. So as we are making the roux, you see we mix our flour and our oil here, equal parts, and I'm just sort of working the flour into the oil. This is the base of the gumbo itself. This is what everything is going to be built upon. I'm going to cook in the background. All right, now that we got the chicken stock all put together, we got the roux cooking in the background. I'll probably turn around a couple of times just to stir it. Gotta make sure with the roux, it's something that needs to slowly sit over time. So you're gonna be slowly stirring it until it reaches the consistency and the color that you want it to be. So now we're gonna prep our vegetables. So first we got ourselves some celery. We're gonna chop this up very finely. And then we're gonna be cutting up our bell peppers and our onions. Same thing with the bell peppers, and then the green onions we're gonna save the out of the stock. Stick that all into a bowl, and then we'll move on from there.
What's up, everybody? We ran into some technical difficulties with the camera for this next section, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to give the onion and the rest of the bell peppers the same treatment as you see here. Dicing finely, and then that's going to be tossed into the bowl with the rest of the bell peppers that you just saw there. Then you're going to cut up the green onion. Cut off the stems, then dice it finely, saving the bottom half for the gumbo, then save the top half for after the gumbo is completed. That's going to be on top as a garnish.
All right. gonna continue on. So I just finished cutting all of the chicken. I just started cutting the sausage. I got about a pound in there. I'm gonna add another pound in there. And then I got all my vegetables here, and then we're gonna season everything, start cooking it all down. The roux is almost ready. Roux is getting to a nice color that we need it to. Probably keep it simmering there for a couple more minutes so we can get it to a nice darker color. And then we're gonna set it aside and then we'll reheat it once we start working on all the other vegetables and such. And here we go. All right, now that we have everything prepared, let's go ahead and start seasoning. First thing we're gonna use, salt. Next we have just some ground black pepper, garlic powder. Oh, forgot. You will need minced garlic as well. So we'll go ahead and add about, let's say maybe 2 tablespoons to our vegetable mix here. On the seasoning, so we got our Creole seasoning. This stuff is delicious. Next we have our paprika, Cajun seasoning, and then we'll probably add in some of this stuff as well, accent seasoning. Then we're gonna go ahead and mix these all together. All right, now the first thing that we're gonna cook is sausage. Let's go ahead and get our pan ready to go. Now with the sausage, we want to get it all nice and crispy. We're going to save the bowl because we're going to be using that later. All right, so now the sausage is almost done. I'm gonna take a look. So we're gonna have to get it nice and crispy. Now, while you're cooking the sausage, you want to cook it on high heat. You're gonna be able to caramelize the outside and get it to be all nice and crispy on the outside and moist on the inside. The idea of that is just to kind of have it caramelize on the outside, so when it's in the pot and it's cooking with the gumbo, it's gonna be on for several hours. So you don't want the sausage to get all mushy and gross while it's inside the gumbo. Having the nice outer crust on the sausage is preferable. And now the nice thing about this is that while we have the sausage cooking in here, we can literally just start adding everything. So after this, we're gonna add our chicken, and then after the chicken, we're going to be adding in our vegetables, saute the vegetables, add the roux on top of it, and then we're gonna be cooking down our gumbo. We're gonna grab our chicken, same thing. All right, now the chicken is almost ready. Now with the chicken, it's a little bit different than the sausage. You don't really have to cook it entirely all the way through with each individual piece because it's gonna be sitting in the pot and it's boiling for so long. It's sort of similar to a soup. So while you're cooking the chicken, you don't need to put on a super high heat. You can sort of take the heat down a little bit while you're transitioning from the sausage to the chicken. And then after this, we're gonna add the vegetables over to this pan. I'm gonna add the roux to it. We're gonna add it overall into the gumbo. While we're doing this, we're gonna add our chicken stock that we had on reserve in the back for a little while. We're gonna get this. All right, that is all of our chicken stock. Now, if you have your own chicken stock, like if you bought the quarts of it while you were at the store or wherever you went and got your chicken stock, this is where the point where you would add all of those bottles. And so while we're cooking our chicken, we're gonna go ahead and bring this up to a nice simmer. And I should add, before you add your chicken, before you start cutting it, before you start dicing it up, you're gonna wanna make sure that it's nice and dry. I had it dry with some paper towels. If you had noticed earlier when I had it on the cutting boards, I had some paper towels underneath it. Sort of pick up that extra moisture. That way your chicken is actually just cooking. It's not boiling inside of inside the water that it came with. All of that nice sausage and chicken goodness. We're gonna add in all of our vegetables. So remember, this is your mixture. It's gonna have the celery, the bell peppers, and the onions, and the garlic. All right, so the vegetables have been cooking for a little bit. So what we're gonna be doing soon is we are going to be adding the roux to it, but I actually forgot something. When you're buying the chicken stock, the containers, they come in 32 ounce sizes, so you need 2 of those, so 64 ounces total. I only put in the equivalent of 1, so we're gonna be adding a little bit more to it. Brought the bouillon back out, so we're just gonna be adding 1 more scoop. This cooking is really just kind of break it down a little bit. See how the onions are starting to break down a little bit, starting to get a little more translucent. And now what we're gonna be doing is gonna be adding our roux into the dish. So we've got our roux to about the consistency that we want. See the color here? Probably a little bit darker, but it's gonna be aided in the process of this cooking over here. So we're gonna go ahead and add it over to our vegetable mixture. Disclaimer, the roux is very hot. It's literally just oil and flour, so be careful the entire time that you're pouring all this. Probably saute this for about 10 more minutes, and after that, we'll go ahead and transfer it over to our big pot, add the rest of our fixing into it, add any other seasonings that we need, and we will be done with our gumbo. For the time being, that we let it cook for up to 3 hours. So now, we have the vegetables pretty much exactly where we want them. As you're turning this, you're gonna wanna keep working on this consistently, otherwise it's gonna start sticking to the bottom of the pan. All right, now we've got this simmering. Add this guy to the mix. Oh, put our sausage in here. And finally, we are going to add the chicken into here. All right, a little stir, moving in there. Now we're going to bring in our green onions that we've had on reserve here. Take that on top. And finally, last thing you're going to want while you're cooking this gumbo, 4 more cups of water. All right, stir. Get everything all nice and kicked in there. All nice and mixed. And lastly, we're adding a little bit more seasoning to it. So I usually like to add a little bit of every single seasoning that we've had here, just kind of kick it off. It looked like that we were a little bit low on the chicken, but we're going to add it in right now. And that is pretty much it. So we just finished stirring the pot. We're going to be waiting for it to boil in the back. Looks like it's starting right now. We're going to cap it, and we're going to let it simmer for about 3 hours. See, right now it is around 6 p.m. Ooh. About 6 p.m. now, so as soon as we have it all ready to go, we're going to leave it on for 3 hours, probably eat it around 9 o'clock, and then we will see you then for the tasting. Welcome back, everybody. We just finished our gumbo. We let it simmer for 3 to 4 hours. It's now 10 o'clock right now. The last step in making this gumbo is you're going to want to take off all of the excess oil that has come up onto the top. So that's mostly oil skimmed off, and I put it into this bowl right here. Now you can use this oil for later. I usually like to make it with the rice that comes along with that you make with gumbo, but you know, you can discard it if you want to. We have rice on the side. That is your base for your gumbo. Now let's go ahead and plate it up.
That's cool. Okay.
Remember those green onions that we had earlier? Just put them on top. And you can add cayenne pepper.
That's good.
Okay. That is how you make gumbo. Catch you next time. Thanks for watching.
Jordan!